All right. So today we're going to talk about Pluribus, which every time I think of it, I can't help but like think of the E Pluribus Unum, which I know it's supposed to evoke.
Yeah, Pluribus is many, and then they put a one.
For the I.
Yes.
Which I think it's really telling because like I remember, so before we get too far in the story, I remember seeing the trailer for it and it was so random, or at least it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, what is this supposed to be? And like just kind of thinking about it is like, I guess the question is like, what is it getting at, right? Like many, and I guess before we get too far, it's like we should talk about the setup and like because the first episode is totally like it basically spends 40 minutes of the 50 minutes of the first episode just total like setup.
Vince Gilligan takes his time.
He does. He's not afraid of taking his time, and I feel like to also preface this, I feel like if this show is going to be impactful, it'll end up being the same thing that was like for Breaking Bad, because initially Breaking Bad, when it was on TV, it didn't actually do anything. It wasn't really like super well praised or lauded. It wasn't until it went onto Netflix streaming where people could kind of binge the sweep of it and they could see like how the narrative unfolded in a more contained version rather than waiting in an episodic or seasonal thing where you have long stretches of time between seasons to really piece the story together. At least from where it seems like it's going right now, I think that's where this show might end up being. To be seen.
I hope so. We have to wait and see.
It remains to be seen, but it seems like he's willing to let things slow burn.
Yeah. He's a slow burn kind of guy.
Yeah.
And the first season, not a lot happens.
Yeah. That was the thing that kind of struck me. Like at the midpoint of the season, I was kind of like, what's going on? Like, I feel like this episode went nowhere. Or like there maybe was like one or two scenes that kind of moved things along a little bit. And maybe that's the fault of the main character, which we were kind of talking about before we started recording, which we'll definitely unpack that.
Yeah, my mind went to the same place.
Yeah. Because the main character is kind of, yeah, I don't want to be like harsh because it's like hard, but at the same time, it's like she's annoying. So to start, I guess our main character is Carol, and she is a successful romance writer, but at least very early on, she kind of gets this sense that she's kind of insufferable, or at least she kind of hates the job she's given herself.
Fantasy romance that she doesn't respect.
No.
She's kind of resentful, seems, or bitter, or certainly unappreciative of the station that she has.
I think she's bitter because she changed elements of her writing to make it more palatable for the mainstream. And I think that causes a psychological break.
She writes things she hates.
Instead of, can you move the mic closer to you? Just to be safe. Yeah.
Yeah, she writes things she hates, not things she loves. And so she's trapped doing a job she can't stand. And so she's bitter. And it shows.
Totally.
She doesn't like her fans.
No.
Certainly doesn't respect them because they all like something she hates.
And they kind of talk about the same things. It's the least interesting parts of what she's writing.
Yeah.
At least that's the sense you get from her in the very first episode.
So she's not happy about her life.
No.
Which
I guess is similar to the iconography they use, right? It's like the petri dish with the smiley face in it. And then with that in parallel, though, they find like the sci-fi element of this, which is like, it shows like weird. It's like grounded, but it's also sci-fi at the same time. Because along the lines, they show like some signals coming to Earth and these like astronomers are trying to decode it. And they like figure it out. It's like Morse code, but then they were like, it's not Morse code, it's a DNA sequence. And so then fast forward, they basically culture, I guess, the DNA sequence, and it's some sort of bacteria. They're experimenting on mice. One of these mice gets out and bites one of the researchers. Within minutes, this guy's infected, and then he licks all these donuts.
It spreads around the world, and you get the sense that before long, the entire planet has been infected with a hive mind.
Yes. And it's not intuitively clear that it's a hive mind until like it's one of the most unsettling scenes where she's in the hospital because her, I don't really know if they...
Yeah, girlfriend, I don't think they have me.
But she's infected, so she's like, oh my god, I gotta drive her to the hospital. And then like everyone in the hospital is like having a seizure, and then they all wake up at like the same time and they're all like staring at her like zombies. It's almost like a anti-zombie movie. It's like instead of the zombies being bloodthirsty, like what if they were insufferably nice?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which all feels like a persona
Yes.
I mean, it tells you to dive into it.
Yeah, go for it.
The point sort of is, or for Carol, why it disturbs Carol so much. And she's a writer who's had her individuality or self-expression hamstrung by the masses' expectations of her.
What she should write, like, she didn't write what she wanted to write. She wrote what she thought the audience wanted her to write.
Which made her bitter and angry and so on. And now she's in a circumstance where the entire planet wants her to be a part of it.
Right.
One mind, one mass.
Right. And I guess the thing we should say is that she is, for whatever reason, immune to this virus bacteria.
Probably because she hates it. I don't know.
It's not really clear because you find out there's 13 other people that are also immune later on, but there's not really a clear reason. What's interesting is a different writer would turn this into like some like the 13 survivors need to figure out a way to free humanity. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
in like the epic version of this would turn it into some like the chosen 13 would be led by some savior to, but instead it's like all these characters are just kind of boring. Basically, they're just average people with average interests and are more interested in what their own wants or desires than trying to figure out what the fuck happened to the world or humanity at large.
Yeah. And that puts her in a predicament, I guess. If what the hive mind is, if what that thing is something like a representation of the pressure that she is a writer or Vince Gilligan is a writer.
You got to remember, like you said, the psychoanalytical.
It's from the audience that there's an expectation that she behaves a certain way, that she gets in line with their thinking, and that there's a dissolving of her identity into its mass. Then of course she's going to be like, fuck you. I want nothing to do with you.
Right.
Get out of here. It's like the embodiment of the problem that she already had.
Yeah.
As a writer.
Now it's just the whole world is just open about it.
And they're all, this is for you. And she's like, but it's not for me. I don't want it.
Right. Because it could, like, one of the things that I wrote down was like, what if society's greatest failure isn't division, but its inability to like fully unify? It's kind of like playing with that. Like, if everyone could get on the same page, look what we could accomplish together, kind of thing. And then it was the flip side of this is like, from the virus's perspective, all they want to do is be a complete unity. But yet there's these 13, or Carol really being the most difficult, who doesn't want to. And all they want to do is like get fully unified, just make her see the light, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they can't be aggressive or attack her or whatever. Then the irony, though, kind of what you're saying is like, you basically, the premise of this show is you have the most miserable person who now must save humanity from happiness. Because everyone else is happy except her.
Yeah, well, a false happy.
Right, yeah, I know.
Also a false unity. You know, and part of that's sort of a feature of the trope of a hive mind.
I know. Because there's no individuals anymore.
Yes.
And they didn't choose to be part of the hive mind either.
Yeah. Well, a real unity would preserve their individuality under a common purpose. And there is a common purpose, but the individuality is annihilated.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's no, so like it's all one mind moving in its purposes and doing its things, but it's not, every individual person doesn't contribute something unique. They've all become basically one part or all the same thing. They can all do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you see.
Right, they're all equally everything.
Yeah. Suddenly you have like clerks that are flying.
Right, airplanes or whatever.
And shit. Right.
Okay, it's really unsettling.
Yes.
It's like, what? Like, why do you know how to do that?
Yeah, and it's the sign to tell that this is not a real ego.
I think there was a lot of smart, this is more of a technical aspect, but I think there's multiple things that, along with the production and cinematography, it's impeccable. Like, it's some of the best cinematography, some of the best direction, but like everybody else, the supporting cast is so good. Like the way that the affect of the hive mind and how they're all kind of the same flat dialogue where you can really tell that they're like, they did a really good job with like a vocal coach or something to really give you the impression that, oh, they're not individuals anymore. They're all speaking as one voice.
Yeah, the hive mind works.
Yeah. Like, it feels believable. It doesn't feel so campy.
Yeah. The hive mind I buy. The main character and the other supporting characters, the humans
Yeah,
that have
like the
not
one
been
guy who's
infected.
the hedonist
Yeah,
who
these
just has like infinite
I'm
girls and stuff.
kind of back and forth on this. It seems like the intelligence of many of the characters is being intentionally
Like dampened.
in order to serve the plot,
Yeah, I could see that.
right? To get things moving along.
I feel like people would be way more skeptical naturally
Insanely skeptical.
and almost like horrified, especially like the one lady who like her daughter is one of them or her mother. I forget what it is, but she's like, I would definitely not be chill. Like, give me my daughter back. I want my like I don't want hive mind daughter or child. I want like
Right.
fully fleshed agentic version of my child, please and thank you.
Yeah. Instead of this insanity.
A couple thought experiments. I was like doing some research on this, and it was Robert Nozick's Experience Machine came up. I'm not sure if you've
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
And so, just for those who don't know, it's Robert Nozick was a philosopher. He wrote a book in 1974 called Anarchy, State, and Utopia, where he wrote about this thought experiment of the experience machine, which is kind of like, after reading it, it's basically the Matrix. Like, if you could plug yourself in a machine that would give you like perfect experiences where you'd be perfectly happy in whatever it positive, the brain in a vat, I guess is another way to think of this. Would you choose to live in that perfectly simulated reality? And so this show, I think, is kind of emulating that kind of idea. Is like, join the hive mind, Carol. You can live your perfect utopia in the hive mind.
And part of that thought experiment is to point out that many people would say no because there's a lack of realness.
Yes.
Right. And that even though it seemed, as far as you're concerned, while you're in the machine, this all seems as real as anything else, you're still held back by the knowledge that it is, in fact, not real simulation. And that suggests that there actually is some kind of difference.
Right.
Like there's something that's real that's missing, and that real thing that's missing
The
is
messiness.
reality.
The messiness of like interacting with two individuals that don't agree 100%. In the other part, there's a companion piece to this that Nozick wrote about, which is called the utility monster. This one I had never heard about. But this is the summary of that is, does the collective happiness justify individual erasure? Most of us would say no at the outset. And then Nozick wrote in quotes about this is that the utilitarian theory is embarrassed by the possibility of utility monsters who get enormously greater sums of utility from any sacrifice of others than these others lose. The theory seems to require that we all be sacrificed in the monstrous law in order to increase utility. So that's like basically a way of saying what this hive collective is that it just needs everyone to be on board within the hive at all costs.
Except not at all costs. It's limited in a way that Nozick's utility monster isn't.
Right. I guess that is an interesting point. It is limited in a kind of weird, like paradoxical senses.
It does not have a, to break a few eggs to make an omelet philosophy.
It actually doesn't do that. You're right. It can't hurt things.
It refuses to break any eggs.
And it can't lie.
It will kill people that have been assimilated or allow them to die by starvation.
Yes.
So you could argue that in some sense it is a utility monster, but it's a weird one.
Yeah, there's limitations to it for some reason.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I still haven't squared is like when they all go into seizures, when like Carol gets upset, like it can't deal with negative emotion, I guess. Right? Like it's so far onto the happiness side of the scale, it has no way of connecting with the negative. And so that the whole system, like when it has to deal with negative emotion, it just, has those seizures like when they were all first infected. But then when those happen, people die. Like it's so bad for the collective that it ends up being like I don't even know, like a pattern interrupt or something, and just some fraction of
people die.
Yeah.
And the reason that they die is that some of them are driving cars and go off and some of them crash airplanes.
Yeah, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, in the middle of this. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I'm not sure that the seizure itself kills anyone.
Yeah, I guess they don't really say. At least near the end of the season, we don't know. At least the two people we saw have the seizure that weren't in danger end up waking up and don't die from it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's more evidence that people don't die. It's just if it happens at an opportune moment.
Yeah, and that just looks to me like, I don't want to call this thing a unity because it isn't. it's a oneness,
Yeah, it's more accurate.
right, where it has a lack of distinction, right? So it seems to me that the killing of something else is an indication of the non-oneness of reality,
Oh, interesting.
that it doesn't want to do it because it's a anti-assimilation. And the negative emotion of another person is another version of that, where because it's so happy in that the negative emotion is something outside of itself and not aligned with its purposes.
Yeah.
It's an indication that there's a will outside of itself,
Hmm.
a non-oneness,
Hmm.
that there actually is distinction and it wants non-distinction.
Yeah, but it's trying to achieve a falsehood.
It wants a total non-distinction
Yeah,
between all minds and beings.
because we know there's at least one other planet where this thing came from. We don't know who they are or what they are, but
Or what it's
it was at least compatible across species somehow.
Yeah, and it was probably smart enough to create
A
the
radio,
message and the
yeah,
whole thing in order to transmit the hive mind's nature over to another planet. Yeah, it's
yeah. Like, is it like 600 light years away or
a
something?
shitload.
It's basically far as fuck away.
Right. So you get it. These are all just clues into the nature of the beast, which is that yes, it wants a kind of happiness, but that happiness is predicated on non-distinction.
Yep.
Which is its purpose. And that when it's confronted with things that are misaligned or obstacles to its purpose, that make it quite obvious that that oneness is either an impossibility or not present at this time. It goes into a kind of distress.
Yeah, like it doesn't know how to confront, because like if it's aiming at happiness, it can't. And it's only set like from neutral to happy. It's like it doesn't even know how to contend with the other half of the spectrum.
Yeah, which is a strange. Why? It reminds me of this notion in Erich Neumann, Origins and History of Consciousness, where he talks about the pleroma. And the pleroma is this kind of non-distinction that is pre-conceptual or at the beginning of all conception. That's this kind of oneness. It's almost like an infant in the womb where all things are dissolved and all suffering. This kind of non-being state. It's just pleasurable. And that happiness, I wonder if it's not a clue that it's a devolution into nothing, into a pleroma.
Interesting.
And that right, it's just thinks that that's happy.
Right.
That you'll find happy being.
Right. That it's just like a cease to exist.
Which is also a kind of version of what the political ideologues do. And that they think that they can arrive at a utopia if only we would all be the same.
Right. If only one could get on board, right? Like
Yeah,
I've heard people say this.
that's right. And that the reason that the utopia didn't happen in Soviet Union is because of those goddamn kulaks not getting on board. So we should just liquidate the kulak class and then be good with it. And now we can have our utopia. But the reason it doesn't work is because it doesn't account for the inherent distinctions between individuals you can't eradicate. Partly because an individual isn't a singular object. An individual is a collection of intelligences that
Right.
are
It's a
actually
plurality
competing.
of.
That I'm already a plurality. I'm already not one. And so the idea that you can make a whole bunch of different people one thing is insane.
Well, that's why, like, I feel like this show, I think, is supposed to make you uncomfortable. And I think for people like me and you who've done a lot of these kind of weird esoteric journeys into these thought experiments or like think about these things,
Yeah.
it might feel a little elementary because of the pacing of the show. But if you imagine someone who's never really been exposed to these things, right? Like even what I was talking about with Robert Nozick's experiments, like those feel not so foreign to me because it's like, oh yeah, those make sense from like a theoretical
Yeah, right.
standpoint. But basically this show is basically a show, like a better way of playing, like putting a playground for these like thought experiments that wrap it up to make it more accessible for people.
Yeah.
And so for people like me and you, we don't need the veneer of a movie or a TV show to access these things, but maybe more people do to at least contend with them, to not feel like, well, this is too weird and too esoteric to play with it. And so that's why part of it is like it feels slow and ponderous, but maybe it needs to be slow so that people can feel the discomfort and like just be shown all these different scenes, where like the hive mind collective is trying to break through to Carol in the same way it's get the audience attuned to the hive mind, right? So like that's why eventually the hive mind lands on Josha, who is like because it knows so much about Carol because of the memories of all the people it's touched, it basically uses her as like a stand-in for like the character she wanted to write. They never explicitly say it, but it's pretty freaking obvious.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well, they do say it. They say that Carol asked the hive mind if the reason they picked that individual was because she resembled the character in her book. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't
And they
sure
say
what.
yes.
And here's another thing is that even though the hive can't lie, it still shows that it's being manipulative. It's still trying to like pull at emotional strings. I don't even know how to like, because it's not like it's not even playing coy about it. It's just it's in your face. Like, it's clearly trying to put you at ease and like get you to put your guard down around it.
There's a lot of questions I still have, you know. Like, why can't it lie?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, then it said it can't hurt people, but then it's basically powdering dead bodies
Like,
into stuff
what
for
purpose?
food.
That I can understand because there are people that had already died.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
And it doesn't, at that point, it's not true in some sense, but at least within the confines of the show. In real life, I'd say that's a very different.
Yes.
But if the purpose of this thing is to assimilate everybody, then lying works to do that, to convince people to
Choose this
join.
Why would it not?
Maybe it's a version of this reluctance to accept the distinction that lying to another person is an admission that they have a different mind than one's own.
Because it has to be done like a willingness, like you can't join via
like if you and I are already on the same wavelength,
right?
We both know exactly the same thing all the time. I can't lie to you.
Yes.
I already can't lie to you because it would work. In fact, the attempt to lie to you would be something you would know. Like if we literally were of one mind, it wouldn't even work.
Lying is becomes an like you can't even think of it as a concept because you're of one mind, so you can't lie. It's just impossible.
If I'm going to lie to you, what has to happen for the lie is that I have to have a map of reality that I know.
Right.
I have to know what your map of reality is. And then I have to know what I want your map of reality to be.
To be able to calculate, man, lying is a complex concept.
Yeah, what it requires your mind.
And
kids who are higher in IQ will lie younger.
Oh, wow.
That means that I need a me concept and I need a distinct you concept. And then I'm trying to manipulate the you concept to arrive at this conclusion I want.
That actually makes sense from its theory of a hive mind.
Yeah.
If it's so used to working without individuals, it wouldn't have the idea of what lying is.
Yeah.
It would be able to pick up concept of lying because it's infected humans that lie.
Yeah, well, I think the more I think about this, the more I think that it's because it's in a kind of myopic, non-distinction goal and mindset, where it's both non-distinct and it demands a kind of non-distinction and thinks the world is, in some sense, must be non-distinct. That's its ideal. That any contact with things that are suggesting to it distinctions is upsetting.
Yeah.
And so it won't lie, won't kill.
That's interesting, yeah.
I think that it can probably ignore consent.
Well, it definitely does that because how did it infect everyone in the beginning? Because like there's a part of this is incongruity a little bit. Because when people first are being infected in like the first or second episode, it's like licking those donuts and then it's like kissing people or whatever. Like it
was never getting consent during that process.
Right. And then some fraction of people died in the process of becoming infected. But it's totally okay with those losses and breaking the consent there.
So if I was this hive,
I guess the only difference is that because Carol and the others are immune, it already had tried to turn on these people, but for whatever reason, it failed and they need to think of a new way of getting it to occur.
If it doesn't want to believe that there are legitimate distinctions and it wants you to join up, in some sense, it already thinks that you want what it wants.
Right. That's all I can
Which
assume.
it tells her all the time.
Yes.
It tells her all the time that like, oh, if you really do want this, you just don't understand.
Right. We'll make you understand. Don't worry.
Right. Well, you'll
come around.
And consent isn't an issue in some sense.
Yeah.
You already consented. You already want this. It knows you want this. I want this. Therefore, you want this. It's already thinking of you as part of its oneness.
Right. And that's why, like, the other character, I can't remember his name, the Peruvian guy.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But he's like the recluse from there. Like, you only see him a couple times early on. And he's clearly like, he's like barely holding on. Like, he's eating canned food or like cat food.
Yeah.
He probably reacted what I would expect most people react in this situation if you were one of the non-infected.
He's pretty intense.
Very intense. Like, more intense, really on edge, guarded. Like,
well, Carol needed somebody that was even more intense than she is. If I was a writer,
you're right.
You need to have somebody who's the counterbalance. You have all the people that are like, I'm just gonna have all the hottest women in the world play poker, the hedonistic shit, and this is the best thing that's ever happened. And then you have Carol, who's like, you're all insane. Why are you acting like this? You need someone to make Carol be like, wait, hold on, am I the crazy one?
Right.
And of course, that is what happens because she meets him and then she goes and leaves him to go with
and she's trying to like walk him off the edge to like, hey, we need to relax.
It sends her on her little hedonistic pleasure.
I was gonna say she enters in the experiment of like the perfect simulation, like go off and live the dream life she always wanted to live with her perfect person.
And she's gonna go ski
in the Alps
and eat fancy food, make love and whatever
or whatever.
Which all sounds great until she realizes that, oh no, this thing is very much not interested in it doesn't care about privacy.
No,
that's one thing that's really interesting. It doesn't understand the notion of privacy because there are no individuals. Everybody knows everything. And so it doesn't respect that privacy. So when he's asking questions to her chaperone about their relationship, the hive mind just tells, which for you and I, like if your significant other told some terrible traumatizing story or something, if you let that out, right, if that was told to you in confidence, and this is a deeply personal thing that this person justifiably wants kept quiet, you'd be an asshole.
Right.
You'd be an asshole for doing that.
It was actually an interesting scene when she like realizes that he's talking to her and he's like, wait, what what is happening?
Yeah.
Which also was kind of funny because like, why is she all of a sudden protective? Like she should know better than to like...
Right, because there's an idea of this is my person.
I know. It just felt weird to me because like in my head, I don't think of her as like a person, so to speak. It's like she was there because she's the one that Carol would be most comfortable with, not because it was
from the hive mind's perspective.
Right.
Not from Carol's or any normal functioning human being. But that's part of what these ideologies and stuff do, is that they say, what do you need privacy for? If you had nothing to hide, if you didn't do anything wrong, then what would you need privacy?
Right.
The answer is because we're not all one mind. People misconstrue things because there's some things that I'm working out that I am embarrassed about,
or fumble with, or
whatever it happens to be. I'm upset about it. Still hurts to talk about it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust everybody with that for good reason, because there are untrustworthy people, who would happily use your faults and foibles.
Well, it's like the observer effect, where if you know you're being videotaped or whatever, most people won't actually, they'll act differently. So say you want to sing or whatever. It's like, if you know you're being recorded or someone's watching you, the odds that you would want to sing, like, you know, people sing in the shower. Reason people do that is because they can put their guard down because they know no one's listening, or if there's someone home, it's not, they're okay with it. But like, as soon as you put someone in a crowd and they're like, okay, go do karaoke night and go sing on stage.
I learned recently
most people won't do it.
People who are higher in agreeableness, the big five personality, one of these dimensions of personality is agreeableness. They're literally more agreeable to go along with things. They don't like conflict, are more likely to sing in the shower.
Oh, that's interesting.
I wonder if that's because they have the desire to sing, but because they're in public, they see that as a possible stepping on your toes, that you don't want to hear me sing, so I just won't do it.
But you'll do it in private.
I wonder. I'm speculating.
I mean, it kind of checks out. because like the agreeable person doesn't want to like impose on the world around them.
Yeah.
Like they'd rather just, you know, let whatever's going to happen around them happen.
Right. But the whole notion of privacy is predicated on the notion that there are different minds and different wills.
Yeah.
And that we can be going in different purposes, and I could be trying to improve the world, and I can even have innocuous information about myself. You almost have to think like you're a spy or something, like this is James Bond, you can trust no one. It's like if you had a problem with alcohol in the past and somebody's trying to undermine you, then they would use that information to be like, Devin Rick, oh, come on, what do you do? And pressure you and see if they can get you to fold. And if you could fold, then you collapse and then they got you. That even the idea that somebody would stop drinking or that they were once an alcoholic and they wanted to keep that notion private is not even the most extreme thing that you might want to keep private.
Right.
And you can understand why somebody would.
Mm-hmm.
But in a hive mind or in these kind of political ideologies, they don't understand that notion.
No. The other thing, I guess, to kind of piggyback on that, because if this idea is they don't know or have no sense of individuality. And I feel like some of the most interesting episodes are toward the end, probably like 7 or 8, not the finale, where basically Carol is trying to like not force, but like she's coaching Josha to talk in personal pronouns, say I instead of we. She basically is kind of sick of it, and she's like, "I don't want this. Is creepy. Stop it. Like, stop saying we. You're when you're with me, you're an I, right?" And I guess it's kind of her. I feel like in some sense, it's Carol trying to deny the reality to try and like cope with the strangeness of this experience. But in the one scene where they're like in front of the sink doing dishes or whatever, she asked her something about like experiences, like favorite cookie or candy. I forget what it was.
Oh yeah, it was like flavor of like
Yeah,
ice cream or snow cone or something, and yeah, some fruit.
And this is what I meant, like the character, like they did such a great job of like the tone or inflection of like the speaking as the hive, where when she starts describing it, all of a sudden there's a point. It's super subtle, but like you don't feel like she's talking as the hive anymore. It's like she's remembering the individual, like who she was, at least in the memory. I don't know if she really.
What was unique to her?
Yeah, and you could feel like it's like the depth of her voice. Like it brings back some of the color. It's not so flat.
Yeah, and the hive mind itself gets a feeling of uncanniness.
Yes.
Really.
It just feels off. There's something about the tone of it. No worries. But yeah, it was one of the more interesting scenes, and I feel like the last couple of those kind of unfold some of the narrative a lot more than like the previous episodes where you kind of understand multiple layers of what might be happening, or like it feels like it's obviously breadcrumbs for the next season, because like as a good writer, it's leaving holes in the world so that it's not expositing everything. It's just like, here, play with it.
Think about it. You can't just answer all my questions immediately.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And it's letting people like, I guess you can't really just put it in expository. You have to make it like cause and effect. You know, it has to be something that happens because the characters in the world are interacting with each other. And then like, because they do things, now we learn X.
Yeah.
And they can't do what you think they should do because that's bad writing. Like if you could predict what they're going to do, then, well, now it's kind of a lame story.
Yeah. Which I think that maybe just to summarize the kind of symbolism and the kind of the more philosophical framing of the whole thing, it's like, I really think that the hive mind is a kind of oneness, and oneness is a kind of singularity without any distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
A unity is a singularity with distinction.
Mm-hmm.
This oneness is simultaneously its state that it is, well, one mind, but it's also objective, that it want an ideal, really, a kind of utopian ideal of all things being one and distinct from one another. And that when the hive mind comes into contact with things that make it quite apparent that there are distinctions between it and other minds and so on, then it has problems. So it avoids those things or has negative reactions to it. That's the hive mind in a nutshell. But that means that if it's sort of assuming that's the nature of the world already, or that's how things should be or whatever, I don't see why it needs consent at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, you'd think it wouldn't.
It already seems to believe that you've given it
consent.
You really do want this if only you knew.
Right. And you kind of see like toward the end, they have that little girl and she was one of the immune and she like inhales and then she becomes one.
If only you were awoken.
Yeah.
To what it is on this side.
Yeah.
If you could just see the way things really are.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Yeah, then you would be.
But that was like the interesting thing, like when she finally, like they looked like they had the tribe still kind of functioning because it was what she needed to be comfortable. And then as soon as she assimilates, because that's what the idea is, they like all pack up and leave. They release the animals, and then like that little lamb is bleeding. Like what's going, like why? I feel like that is like a counterpoint in a subtle sense of like, this thing doesn't actually have compassion. It doesn't understand like anything about humanity.
It certainly doesn't love.
No.
It says that it loves, but that's not what love is. Love is an acknowledgement of the distinctions and then a working for what's best for that individual. It says you are a particular way. And I'm going to accept the fact that you are that particular way. All your faults and foibles. That's what it is. Now, given where you're at, what's the next best thing for you? How can I serve you to arrive at this next, just the next step?
Yeah, whatever that is.
I'm not going to make this terrible utopian trap where I think about the perfect world and then I compare you against that ideal and then crush you because you don't live up to it. It's instead saying, I get it. You're not perfect. I love you anyway. I want you to succeed anyway. I want you to improve what's good for you, what's the best possible good given what is.
Right.
And it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't take into account where she's at because it took her eggs and stole the stem cells from them so that it could use it to turn her over.
And then they're like, and she asks like, how much time do I have? And she's like, maybe a month, 3 at most.
Yeah.
Some sort of thing.
Yeah. And of course it frames that as like, if things are real bad, then it'll be 3 months.
It frames it like, oh, it's going to take a while. Like 3 months is too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess the other part too is that it frames everything as compassion for the people that it infects. But the little girl where they had that like lamb that she was like comforting and she's like not sure how things are going to go. But clearly they don't really care about other organisms unless they're part of the collective because they just abandon it. So that little lamb is dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it doesn't understand these intimate connections between other people.
No.
And the girl and the lamb.
Right.
That there really is real love is only ever
within the collective.
One individual to another.
Yeah.
It's against the collective. The collective can't love.
Right, that's what you say. Like it doesn't have a concept of outside of itself.
It's that at that collective level, it's like it doesn't. I don't know how to describe. It's not real. If you're trying to get, it's certainly not in the oneness.
Well, yeah. Well, that would be like saying you love your left hand more than your right hand, like that. Like it's just a part of you, so you can't. You know what I mean? Like
if it was,
I mean, it's a bad example, but like
real love accounts for, like I said, it accounts for what is, but it's not just accounting for what is in you, that you have a particular disposition. We're trying to get you to the next step. It also understands that I'm limited and that I don't have the time or energy to invest everything into everyone everywhere. It's not possible. And if I tried, I would fail to accomplish the good that I could do if I let that go. And instead chose to just focus on those individuals with whom I'm in a position to love.
Yeah.
You see, to actually.
Well, love is more of like, it's like because of, it requires amount of depth. Right. Like you can't genuinely invest into everyone. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like you can't know everyone deeply. Like
it's literally
like it's just impossible. So you have to pick like a handful of people and say these are the people I'm going to invest the effort into truly knowing.
By the way, this is like the major counter argument to Peter Singer and effective altruism.
Oh, really?
This idea that why would you treat a drowning child on the other side of the world any differently than you would treat your own drowning child? And see how that notion de-individualizes them? It makes all persons equivalent cogs in a machine whose value is intrinsically, it's equal. But that is a parody of the Christian notion of
I can
this equal
actually
love.
say that I don't want another child to drown. I'm not going to let my child drown.
If I try to stop every child in the world from drowning, I'll drive myself insane and not be there when my own child is drowning. You don't approach the world by equivocating all people. You do it by understanding that you have a position in reality. You have a certain coordinates in the
And
cosmos.
a limitation in which area of influence you can afflict on the world.
Yeah, that was not an affliction. But
impact is probably better.
Yeah, you have a zone of competency, you have a zone influence, and you can only operate in that zone. Accept that fact. And then move forward.
I feel like that's some of the limitations in some of these ideologies right now, is that they don't understand the limitations of geography, or like
they don't understand the limitations of the will.
That too. Yeah.
The modern version of this hive mind is all the will above everything. It reduces the world down to, it really is when it imagines that we can all be of one mind, it means my mind.
Right. That's one of the things that I always think about with like some of these utopian ideals, is it's not like good for all. It's good as I see it.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm on top of the pile, as long as I'm king of the hill, then we're good.
Yeah, it thinks I know all things.
Yeah, right.
My will be done.
Yeah.
It doesn't recognize that, what if there's something intrinsically limiting about you?
Yeah.
There's no escaping that limitation, period. That just never clicks.
I guess at this point we're getting close to like the climax of season 1. And I think it's kind of a good like touching point to kind of wrap this up, which I think is kind of funny, right? Because like we touched on the whole like Carol kind of realizes like, oh, this thing isn't actually doing what's best. Like in a real, like I'm having a relationship with a person. It's just going through the motions in hopes that I still assimilate.
Yeah.
And it's just doing what it thinks it needs to do to make me comfortable, so that when the time comes, I'll go willingly. And then she shows up back home. And she's like, there's a crate. It was actually a fun scene.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the way they filmed it. It's a real helicopter dropping off a crate. And then the Spanish or Peruvian guy is still there. And he's like, what the hell's happening? Yeah. And she's like, atomic bomb.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, you kidding me? Like, she chose a nuclear option, it seems like.
Yeah, well, that's another version, which is funny. Another version of the grenade, because when she gets the grenade, she's like, I didn't think you would get me a live grenade.
Right. Why would you give someone a grenade to do something stupid and dangerous?
Another version of this, you think that I'm like you. I'm not like you. You wouldn't pull the pin on this grenade.
Right.
But I might, but that didn't occur to you.
Right.
And you don't love me because you just put me in this insane danger. Right. You didn't even explain to me, like, let me sit you down and talk to you about the safety mechanisms.
Yeah, right.
And why, though I'm going to give this to you, you definitely should not pull this pin.
Right. Like, this is actually a real grenade.
It didn't give you any of the information that you needed to handle this thing responsibly.
Yeah.
It doesn't love you.
That's interesting. And again, it even escalates that further because it just gives her a bomb.
Yeah. Right. So she pushes it right to the edge.
Yeah, right. She goes,
she wants confirmation. Okay. What is going on here? Really? Do you really love me? What is this real? Do you really care about me? Are you actually looking out for me? Do we really have a genuine relationship where my best interests are at heart? Because that's insane. That's clearly insane. And then he goes, okay.
Right. It just capitulates.
It's like, that's right. Because this is insane. You don't love me.
Yeah.
You don't have my best interests at heart. You're play acting to get me into your game.
Right. It's just doing what it needs to do to make you accept your fate.
Which itself indicates, I imagine, to Carol that this thing is going to turn her whether she wants it or not.
Yeah.
Because because if it had her best interest at heart, it would have given her the atom bomb. It won't turn her. But it gives her the atom bomb.
Yeah.
So it probably will.
Right. It's just showing you that it doesn't really care. It's just hoping that it will turn her before she decides to go nuclear.
Yeah.
Effectively. I mean, I think it's one of those things. And she even says to the guy, she's like, you won. Yeah. She comes back and she's like, you won. I get it. I'm in it now. Like we're not playing their game anymore, trying to do this the quiet way or whatever.
Yeah.
And like we see some other bits and pieces of things that I don't even know what it really means, but like he has like the radio frequency and he's trying to like break through to the one guy as the seizures going on. Like at one point he kind of starts talking like waking up, like he looks like a normal person for a brief second before the seizure starts again. Don't know really what to make of it.
Yeah, it'll go somewhere.
It's definitely, it's a breadcrumb to something for in season 2, which I mean, it's good. I think this is.
Yeah. I can say the things I like about the show.
Yeah.
I like the concept. I like hive minds. This is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like it as a kind of intellectual tool to play with
and
a little bit.
It's an interesting way of doing it. Like it's not the tropey, like, ooh, aliens taking over the world in like a aggressive sense.
I like the contrast between this one mind and Carol reveals the importance of things like love and what love is and why you might care about privacy. And like the contrast between these ways makes it clearer. I like that. I don't mind the pacing at all.
I think it's fine. I think some of the episodes in the early on are slow, but it's like setting the stage.
It doesn't really bother me. I say overall I like the show. I'm definitely watching season 2 whatever.
I think overall I would agree most of the time. Some of the scenes, like when Carol actually lets herself feel emotions, like when she breaks down finally after they left because of the grenade and she was trying to break the connection to the hive or use the truth serum. I forget what exactly it is that she did. And she finally admits that she likes having company and doesn't want to feel alone. She kind of comes off as this person who wants to be isolated from the world, like the introvert writer trope.
Oh, she's so bitter.
But she's still like everybody else. She's just afraid to admit what she wants from the world. And hopefully we'll expand on some of these things. And now that she has like a companion who's like on the same team.
Yeah.
It's like the entire show, she's trying to get all the people who aren't infected on the same side. Like, what are we going to do to like team save the world?
Yeah.
Or save humanity? And everyone's like, I don't know, we're good.
Now, 5 minutes to bitch.
Yeah, go for it. Stuff that could be done better.
The main actress's acting, not stoked. I agree that she's good when she's at ease, when the character's at ease.
Yes. Like toward the end, I felt like she was more in form. Earlier on, it feels forced.
Yeah. When she's ornery and annoying, I don't buy it. It just keeps going. It's like she's at the same like volume, same pitch, I guess. Whatever it is, that frequency. She's on that frequency the whole time. And I'm like, nobody's like that. I don't know if you've met somebody who's ornery. There's still fluctuations. There's a whole world of being miserable that you can explore and express. And it was one note. And so I was like, okay, I don't care for that. And that's what made the episodes feel longer to me when I didn't like the pacing. It wasn't because of the pacing. It was because I was like,
her emotion was one note.
You're tiring me, lady.
That could be a directing problem or something.
Yeah, it's something. I imagine that the actress, it could be direction, and that Vince Gilligan doesn't know, or whoever's directing. I thought it was him.
I think most of them, but
either way, whoever's directing, it could be a direction issue. It could be something in the writing. I don't know. And it could be that the actress is a happy and joyful person, and
she doesn't really know how to be
doesn't know how to be miserable.
Disagreeable or miserable.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Hang out with me. I was
gonna say, go hang out with
you. I'll take you around some Marines.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna live like an enlisted Marine.
Yeah, or go to Eastern Bloc Europe, where
that's the default. Yeah,
where happiness goes to die.
Where if you smile, they say you look like a donkey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they're like, who smiles, who laughs.
I remember, I think it was one of the writers for The Witcher, and he's like, I wrote some of the stories in The Witcher because I'm from Poland.
It was Cyberpunk Edge Runner. The writer from Cyberpunk Edge Runner. He said that he writes this. He said, he's like, I'm from Poland. People from Poland are sad. I'm sad. I want to make a show to make other people sad so that I could feel happy for a moment.
Yeah, it's that in a nutshell. Like, Honestly, that nails it, by the way, because Cyberpunk is one of the most depressing shows that I would love to watch again.
It's good, but it is depressing.
I see your point.
Those are my bitches Moses complaints.
Yeah. Pacing could be better at points, but I was trying to play devil's advocate earlier. I don't know. Overall, it's a good show. I feel like part of me too is like I enjoy talking about Apple TV because I feel like out of all of the streaming services that exist, they try to push the envelope. They don't really make things that are like too campy. They have some misses, but like for the most part, at least in the sci-fi aspect, they have a lot of wins. And we can talk about a lot of other shows within that. Like Silo series, I love that series.
Silo?
Yeah, it's so fucking good. I've read the books now since then. It's the Silo's kind of like a inverse on Fallout. So the idea is that instead of leaving the vault, these people have now existed in a vault for 200 years, and they've basically created an entire social hierarchy where basically the people that live lower are closer to like, the actual running of the silo, like power stations and pumps and water and farms. But then the higher you get up, you're like in the the mayor, the sheriff, that kind of stuff.
Right, the silo is now a metaphor for society,
like a social hierarchy, effectively. But these people, it's kind of like a authoritarian system where there's like a shadowy IT, they call them, which is ironic considering what we've been talking about. But these people, they control like relics. So like if you find a relic from the old world, they'll confiscate it, and you don't really have access to computers like freely. People are very discontent. There's a tensious piece, I guess you'd call it. And then basically the whole story is that someone basically from the down deep in mechanical becomes the new sheriff because she was voted by the sheriff that was murdered. Is basically the system doesn't want someone from the down deep who's willing to ask questions. The premise basically is that she gets put into the system and then she gets invited into it's like she pulls a thread and the whole system collapses in on itself over time. So it's for me, it's like one of the coolest. At first I thought it was lame. And then like the later books, like the first book is like kind of what you'd expect from a story like that. Second book is like, whoa, super interesting. And then that's where season 4 will pick up. I might just keep this section as like a short or something because I love Silo. I have like the collection.
And sit down and do a react. We could talk to each episode.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. It's like a Fallout post-apocalyptic. There's a lot of these kind of post-apocalyptic dystopias going around right now. I wonder why.
It's encouraging.
I know, right? Well, what are we at? Yeah, we're about as busy in an hour. I'm cool with this.
All right.